Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to delve into terror and urban myths, SP,
Yeah.
and specifically a legend that's captivated people for generations, the Witch of Blacuya. And if you enjoy this deep dive as much as we do, please remember to like and subscribe.
Right.
So,
What makes this legend so compelling is it's setting a remote, mist-shrouded island in the Baltic Sea called Blacuya.
Blacuya.
Yeah, this wasn't just any island. It was considered a sanctuary for Swedish witches.
So it was like a haven.
Yeah, a haven for those practicing the occult, a place where they could gather without fear of persecution, perform their rituals,
Right.
and according to folklore, renew their dark pacts.
Dark pacts. What can you tell us about the nature of these agreements and who they are made with?
The specifics of these pacts vary depending on the telling. Some tales speak of bargains struck with supernatural entities.
Okay.
Others describe oaths sworn among the witches themselves, binding them to secrecy and mutual protection.
So like a sisterhood.
Exactly. These pacts often involve promises of power or knowledge in exchange for allegiance or sacrifices.
That adds a layer of complexity. It wasn't just a gathering place, but a place where potentially dangerous alliances were forged.
And this sense of danger is further amplified by the tales of how these witches traveled to Blacuya. It wasn't by boat or foot,
Right.
but through supernatural means.
You're referring to the stories of witches flying on broomsticks.
Yes, but it goes beyond that.
Okay.
Some legends describe them transforming into animals, goats, wolves, creatures associated with darkness and the untamed wilderness.
So like shape-shifting.
Yeah, this wasn't just about transportation. It was about embracing a power that defied the natural order.
Right.
A power that many found both alluring and terrifying.
Definitely taps into some primal fears, doesn't it? The idea of humans shape-shifting into wild animals under the cover of night. It makes you wonder how these tales might have influenced people's perceptions of the natural world around them and the creatures that inhabited it.
Absolutely. It's important to consider the context in which these stories emerged. Belief in witchcraft was deeply ingrained in European society at the time. These tales of transformation weren't unique to Sweden.
Right?
Animal familiars, for instance, appear in witchcraft lore across many cultures,
Yeah.
often serving as companion spies or even extensions of the witch's own power.
So while these stories might seem fantastical to us now, they were deeply intertwined with the beliefs and fears of the time.
Exactly. They offered a way to explain the unexplainable, to make sense of a world that could often feel chaotic and unpredictable. And Lakuya, shrouded in mist and isolation,
Right?
became a focal point for these anxieties, a place where the line between reality and the supernatural seemed to blur.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of this legend,
Yeah.
but I'm already captivated by the image of these witches gathering under the cover of darkness on this remote island, performing their rituals and perhaps even reaffirming their allegiances through these mysterious pacts. It paints a very vivid and somewhat unsettling picture.
And those rituals themselves were said to be quite elaborate. Imagine the scene: flickering candlelight, the smell of incense and herbs, the rhythmic chanting echoing through the night.
I can only imagine.
These gatherings were about more than just spell casting. They were about community shared beliefs and a connection to forces beyond the realm of human understanding.
There's a certain lure to that, isn't there? This idea of tapping into something larger than ourselves, something ancient and powerful. But I imagine these rituals weren't all chanting and incense.
No.
The sources mention something about extravagant feasts as well.
Yes, the feasts were a crucial part of the gatherings. They weren't just about sustenance.
Right.
They were symbolic acts representing a communion between the witches and the forces they sought to commune with.
What kind of food would they have at these feasts?
The descriptions are quite intriguing. Alongside more traditional foods, there are mentions of exotic dishes,
Oh.
rare herbs, and even ingredients that hint at a connection to the darker side of nature.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they were trying to bridge the gap between the mundane and the supernatural to create a sensory experience that transcended the ordinary.
So these feasts were like a way to physically embody their connection to the occult, to taste and experience the magic that we're working with.
Precisely. And these gatherings weren't just about indulging in earthly pleasures. They were also about solidifying bonds, reaffirming allegiances, and reinforcing the shared identity of those who participated.
It sounds like these gatherings on Blacuya were a complex mix of ritual feasting and social bonding. It makes you wonder what impact they had on the individuals who participated. Did they leave feeling empowered, frightened, transformed, perhaps a bit of all three?
That's a fascinating question, and one that leads us to consider the psychological impact of these beliefs.
Okay.
Because while the rituals and feasts were tangible expressions of their faith, the true power of Blacuya lay in its ability to shape the minds and imaginations of those who believed in its magic.
It seems we're about to delve even deeper into the heart of this legend, but before we do, let's take a moment to acknowledge our listeners. If you're finding this exploration as intriguing as we are, don't forget to like and subscribe to the deep dive.
Yes, please do.
We'll be back after a short break.
Blacuya's isolation wasn't just geographical. It was a place where societal norms seemed to dissolve, where the rules that governed everyday life on the mainland no longer held sway.
So it was almost like a world unto itself.
Precisely. And that sense of transgression, of stepping outside the accepted boundaries, is a key element of the Blacuya legend. It's what makes it both alluring and unsettling.
Because it speaks to a primal desire within us to break free from constraints, to explore the forbidden.
Exactly. But that desire is often coupled with fear, with the anxiety that comes from venturing into the unknown. And Blacuya, with its mists, its isolation, and its tales of supernatural power, embodies both the allure and the danger of that transgression.
It's fascinating how this one island became a focal point for so many complex emotions and beliefs. It makes you wonder if there were any real-life events or individuals that contributed to the legend's formation.
While there isn't a definitive historical event or figure tied directly to the Witch of Blacuya, the legend's roots are intertwined with the very real history of witch hunts in Sweden and across Europe.
Right.
Accusations of witchcraft were often rooted in fierce suspicion and a desire to explain misfortune or social unrest.
So in a way, Blacuya, whether consciously or not, provided a tangible embodiment for those fears. It gave them a place, a face, a narrative.
Precisely. And that's why it's important to examine this legend not just as a collection of fantastical tales, but as a reflection of the social and cultural anxieties of the time. The Witch of Blacuya, with her dark pacts, her shape-shifting abilities, and her clandestine rituals, became a symbol of everything that society feared and sought to control.
But these fears weren't limited to Sweden, were they? The belief in witchcraft and the persecution of those accused of practicing it was widespread across Europe.
That's right, and the parallels are striking in many cultures. Women who were perceived as different, who held knowledge outside the mainstream, or who challenged societal norms were often targeted. These witch hunts were as much about social control as they were about religious beliefs.
So in a sense, the Witch of Blacuya, though, rooted in Swedish folklore, becomes a lens through which we can examine a broader historical phenomenon. A phenomenon driven by fear, suspicion, and a struggle for power.
Precisely. And that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding. They allow us to connect seemingly isolated legends to larger historical and social contexts, to uncover the deeper meanings and implications that lie beneath the surface.
It's like we're peeling back layers of a story, revealing not just the fantastical elements, but the very real human emotions, beliefs, and power dynamics that shaped its creation and its enduring legacy.
And it's worth noting that while fear played a significant role in shaping these narratives, there was also an element of fascination, even admiration for the power attributed to these witches.
So it wasn't just fear, but a kind of grudging respect for their ability to defy convention and tap into forces beyond the grasp of ordinary mortals.
Exactly. And that duality, that blend of fear and fascination, is what makes the figure of the witch so enduringly compelling.
It's like she represents both our deepest fears and our secret desires. The fear of the unknown, the untamed, the power that we can't control, but also the desire to tap into that power, to break free from the constraints of our everyday existence.
Precisely. And that brings us to another crucial aspect of the Blacuya legend, its impact on the cultural imagination. The stories of the Witch of Blacuya didn't just reflect societal anxieties, they also shaped them. They provided a framework to understanding the world, for explaining the unexplainable, and for navigating the complex relationship between humanity and the supernatural.
So in a sense, the Witch of Blacuya wasn't just a figure in a story, she was a cultural force, a symbol that resonated deeply within the collective psyche.
Exactly, and that influence extended beyond the realm of folklore. It seeped into art, literature, music, and even everyday language. The figure of the witch, with her associations with power, mystery, and transgression, became a recurring motif in various forms of creative expression.
It's fascinating how these legends, born out of fear and superstition, can become so deeply embedded in our cultural DNA. They continue to inspire and intrigue us centuries later, reminding us of the enduring power of storytelling and the human need to make sense of the world around us. But before we delve further into the cultural legacy of the Witch of Blacuya, let's pause for a moment to remind our listeners that if you're enjoying this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It helps others discover the fascinating world of folklore and legend that we explore here on the Deep Dive. We've talked about the historical and cultural impact, but I'm curious about how her story has resonated through the ages. What can you tell us about her presence in art, literature, and popular culture?
The Witch of Blacuya has proven to be a wellspring of inspiration for artists and writers across various mediums. Her image has appeared in paintings, etchings, and sculptures,
Oh, wow.
each interpretation reflecting the prevailing anxieties and fascinations of the time.
Are there any specific examples that come to mind, works that capture the essence of her legend in a particularly striking way?
One notable example is a series of woodcuts from the 17th century depicting the witches of Blacuya gathering under a moonlit sky, their figures contorted in a frenzied dance, their faces a mix of ecstasy and menace.
So unsettling.
These images served as a visual reminder of the perceived threat these women posed to social order and religious piety.
So even in art, the legend served as a cautionary tale, reinforcing the fears associated with witchcraft.
Yes. But as time went on, the interpretations began to shift. During the Romantic era, the Witch of Blacuya was often portrayed as a tragic figure, a victim of societal persecution.
Okay.
Her connection to nature romanticized as a form of rebellion against the constraints of civilization.
It's interesting how the perception of the witch evolved alongside societal shifts. She became less of a monstrous figure and more of a symbol of resistance, perhaps even empowerment.
Exactly, and that shift continues into the present day. In contemporary art and literature, the Witch of Blacuya is often depicted as a complex and multifaceted figure, a symbol of female power, independence, and a connection to the primal forces of nature.
It seems her story has taken on new layers of meaning, becoming a touchstone for exploring themes of gender identity and our relationship with the natural world.
Precisely. And this evolution is also evident in popular culture, from films and television shows to graphic novels and video games. The Witch of Blacuya, or at least echoes of her legend, can be found in numerous works that explore themes of magic, mystery, and the struggle between good and evil.
So even though the belief in witchcraft may have waned, the fascination with the figure of the witch, and particularly with the Witch of Blacuya, remains strong.
It's a testament to the enduring power of myth and folklore. These stories tap into something primal within us, a fascination with the unknown, the forbidden, the forces that lie beyond our comprehension.
And what about Blacuya itself? Is the island still shrouded in mystery, or has modern life encroached upon its legendary shores?
Interestingly, Blacuya remains relatively untouched. It's still a remote and sparsely populated island, and its history continues to draw visitors who are intrigued by its folklore. There are even guided tours that focus on the legend of the witch, retracing the steps of those who were said to have gathered there centuries ago.
So the island itself has become a pilgrimage site of sorts, a place where people can connect with the legend in a tangible way.
Yes, and it's a reminder that these stories aren't just confined to the pages of books or the screens of our devices. They're woven into the very landscape, the history, the cultural memory of the places where they originated.
As we come to the end of our deep dive into the world of the Witch of Blacuya, I'm struck by the enduring power of her story. It's a tale that has evolved over time, reflecting changing social norms, anxieties, and aspirations, but at its core, it remains a captivating exploration of the human relationship with the unknown, with the forces that both frighten and fascinate us.
What stands out to me is the realization that these legends, however fantastical, are rooted in very real human experiences: fear, desire, the need for belonging, the struggle to make sense of a world that can often feel chaotic and unpredictable.
And perhaps that's why the Witch of Blacuya continues to resonate with us today. Her story, like all great myths and legends, offers a glimpse into the depths of the human psyche, reminding us of our capacity for both wonder and darkness, for both creativity and destruction. And as we conclude this deep dive, we invite you to reflect on the stories that have shaped your own understanding of the world. What myths or legends from your own culture or background have resonated with you? What lessons or warnings do they offer? And how do they continue to influence your thoughts and actions today?
These are questions worth pondering as we navigate our own complex and ever-changing world.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through Terror and Urban Myths SP and the captivating legend of the Witch of Blacuya. We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and perhaps even inspired you to explore the rich tapestry of folklore and legend that surrounds us all. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might be interested in delving into the mysteries of the past and the enduring power of storytelling. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.